lot of poker players get stuck on the path. Maybe that's you, and you're feeling a bit trapped right now. You're playing low to mid stakes, but you're not really progressing. You're grinding, you're studying, and you're trying to fit everything in. But years are going by, and you're in a relatively similar situation. You want to be making more money. You want to be moving up stakes. But no matter what you do, you just can't seem to progress to that next level and get the success or the stability that you're craving. You feel like the solution is to do more, to push yourself harder, to grind and study and hustle until you can get the stability that you crave. But it always feels like it's never enough. You're always feeling overwhelmed. It's almost like you're drowning and your head keeps going under the water and you're frantically splashing around trying to grasp some air. You'll get your head above the water, you'll take a deep breath, and then your head goes under again. And you think, all I can do right now is splash around and try to grasp onto some air. And if you don't, life will get to you and you're going to drown. You're going to straight under the water. So what do? Well, if you keep splashing around, you're going to stay stuck. More years are going to pass by, and unfortunately, you're going to find yourself in a very similar situation to what you are now. Today, I want to throw you a life raft. I want to first teach you why you are stuck, and then I want to help you to stop drowning once and for all. So what's happening? Why do you feel stuck, and why can't you progress to the goals that you want? It comes down to being stuck in your old model and getting the same results you've always got. To get a better understanding of how this works, I want to introduce you to a concept called systems thinking. And this goes that everything in life is a system, and it's about elements, pieces, that interact together to create an outcome towards an objective. All right, so you can think of systems everywhere in life. If we look at the human body is a system to try to keep us alive, to reproduce. We can look at society as a whole, where all the individual elements that are interacting to hopefully create a functional society. You could look at the weather being a system in terms of all the elements interacting to produce the different weathers. And then within the bigger systems, we have smaller subsystems. All right, so think of the human body. We have the lungs and the heart, the cardiovascular system. We have our digestive system. And these systems work somewhat independently for the bigger goal to keep the body alive. All right, so these subsystems working together to create outcomes for the bigger system. Now, in order to change a system and the results that a system produces, you need to identify leverage points. And leverage points are the places in the system that you can interact with, make changes to get the system to act differently. Now, there's a great book called Thinking in Systems by Donella Meadows, which goes deep into understanding the biggest leverage points of changing the results and outcomes of a system. All right, and surprisingly, she says the lowest leverage point for changing any system, whether it's the physical body, whether it's your results in life, whether it's society, is by changing the physical inputs or actions of the system. All right, we'll bring this back to you as a poker player soon, but just think about that. The lowest leverage point is through action and physical inputs. A higher leverage point is by changing the flow of information going in and out of the system. Even higher leverage point is by changing the structure or goals of the system, what the system is trying to get towards. But the highest leverage point of any system is changing the mental models on which the system is built, and realizing that everything in life is just a mental model and that you can choose the one that fits for you. Now, this is really interesting when I understood this concept because it fully connected with my own interpretation of how we make changes in our own lives. And when it comes to you and your poker career and your success in anything you're doing, you are the system. You have all these elements that are interacting, generally trying to get towards an outcome or objective that you've pre-decided. And when it comes to making changes in your life, behavioral change is one of the lowest leverage points. All right, it's the actions and inputs, which are your behaviors, has one of the least impacts on your ability to change the system. It doesn't mean it can't work, But your behaviors fit into a bigger system, which is governed by your goals, which is fit into a bigger system, which is governed by your belief systems and your mental models of what you think is possible. And you can see this in your own life when you try to make changes in behaviors, but you don't have a clear goal. Let's say you just wake up and go, I'm going to run 5 kilometers every morning. But you just decide you're going to do that to lose some weight. But the goal isn't strong. Maybe you do it one day, maybe you'll do it 2 days in a row. But it's very unlikely you're going to be consistent with that because the behavior is governed by the goals, which are also governed by your mental models. So you're not going to be able to do that very long. And it's very hard to make ourselves do difficult things when there isn't a clear goal in that direction. It's even harder, if not impossible, to get ourselves to do things that we believe we can't do. All right, this is the mental models. The mental models are the belief systems. So if you believe that you are always going to be overweight, for example, and you can't get your body into the best shape of your life, you're not going to be able to make the progress because you're blocking yourself from even starting. If you don't believe that you can make a lot of money or move up stakes, you want to, but you don't believe it, again, you can't move forward. So think about for yourself, where are the areas in your life, especially with your poker career, where you're either haven't got the goals clear or you've got mental models that are holding you back. And having worked with hundreds of players, the first thing I do with my coaching is I identify where players are keeping themselves stuck. What are the old models you're living in and how do you get past those? All right. So to summarize where we're at currently, you've got your old model that you're generally living in. You're trying to alter that system by changing your behaviors in general. Where what I'm trying to teach you today is that the system that you're trying to change, the higher leverage points are first of all mental models and then goals. And the lowest leverage point you can have is your behaviors. So with that as the pretense, what do? Well, rather than trying to do more and hustle and change the inputs and the behaviors, why don't we go straight to the highest leverage point of the system and change the mental models on which the system is built? If you change that, everything else has to recalibrate and recoordinate towards these new mental models. So here's how you do it in 3 steps. Step 1 is to step out of your current mental model and to create a new one that is inspiring to live in. And this is about getting a vision for the future that's in alignment with your biggest values and your biggest goals. All right, and it's amazing how often we get stuck in an old model and we don't realize we can step out of that model because it's just a construct of our minds and we can create a new model that we want to be playing in. Most people are trying to win games that they don't want to be playing. You get to choose which mental models and which games I want to play in. So for yourself, first of all, create a vision of your life that you want to live. That's personal to you, that's in alignment with your values. Step 2 is to create a version of yourself that can achieve the goals and outcomes that you want. And this comes down to upgrading yourself, realizing that the current version of you is not good enough yet to get the results you want, but everything's trainable, everything's learnable, and you can develop the character traits, the habits, the routines, the thought patterns needed to get you to your goals. All right? So the second step is the training, the building the version of you that's needed to achieve your goals. And first of all, that starts with literally defining exactly how you need to show up on a daily basis to achieve the goals you want. And finally, step 3 is directing all your thoughts and attention on who you are becoming. Realizing there's a version of you right now, which is currently stuck in your old model. There's a new model that you're now going to step into, and every day you're reinforcing that you're stepping into the new model. When you do a new behavior that's in alignment with your future goals, this might be getting up earlier than usual, it might be doing a grinding routine or a study routine that you haven't done before. You reinforce and congratulate yourself, well done, yes, I'm on the right path towards my new goals and the new model of life I'm stepping into. When you fall back into an old habit, an old routine, an old thought pattern, acknowledge, that's the old model that's trying to pull me back in. It's almost like fighting for its life, and I'm getting pulled back into the old model. Don't resist it, don't fight it, just calmly choose your attention back on the new model. The vision of the life that you want, the version of you that you're becoming each day, and every single day is training towards that new goal, towards that new objective. It won't be linear, it won't be done in a day. But once you set the direction, You set the intention, and every day you're consciously directing your thoughts and attention towards who you want to be and who you're becoming, which the new model, it gets you out of the old model day by day. Now, rather than repeating the same patterns and getting the same results, you're consciously choosing the version of you that you want to be going forward. And it builds slowly, a little bit of momentum at first, but soon you start to become that version of yourself. You train yourself through repetition, and day by day, you're getting more and more in alignment with your new model, and you're moving steps away from the old model. It's almost like a fork in the road. You start going this way instead of that way. Now, to go back to the analogy that we started with of you drowning in the water, you now realize that the water is only knee deep. You stand up, get your breath, you look around, and you realize, wait a second, I can just walk out of the water. You still need to take action. You still need to move to get out of the water, but now you're not splashing around. You're not frantic. You just choose your direction and you go. So to summarize, your old mental models were keeping you stuck. You don't need to fight them. You can create new models that are in alignment with your goals that you really want and your highest values. Reinforce them on a daily basis, and soon your life's going in a completely different direction. If you like this video and you would like to see more videos like this going forward, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button before you go.